Last week I watched this movie called Babylon, which is this crazy trip through Hollywood in the late 20s and early 30s, directed by Damien Chazelle, who's made these masterpieces like Whiplash and La La Land, and starring Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Tobey Maguire and so many other people. And I've not been so immersed and impacted by a film in a very, very long time, but the movie is a mega flop. Made on a production budget of around $80 million plus promotional costs, it didn't even recover $60 million, making it this epic disaster. Maybe it's because of bad marketing, because of the heavy graphic nudity, drug use, and that is 3 hours long even if it doesn't feel that way at all. It bombed very badly, and maybe in a decade from now, we're going to look back on it and call it a cult classic. And that's why today I wanted to explore 10 Indian films that were box office failures but became cult classics. Iruvar. On 10 March 1995, Mani Ratnam's Bombay, an epic love story set in the midst of the Bombay riots, released in theatres. In the weeks that followed, apart from every other controversy, including getting banned in Singapore and Malaysia, 2 homemade bombs were thrown on Mani Ratnam's house and he had to be hospitalized. Normally, any sane person would stop themselves from touching any controversial topic after this, but within 2 years, he releases Iruvar, a political drama based on the lives of MGR, Karunanidhi and Jayalalitha. Apart from the balls of steel, the film had Mohanlal and Aishwarya Rai making their Tamil debut, Prakash Raj taking up the role of Karunanidhi after Mammootty, Kamal Haasan, Satyaraj and Madhavan couldn't do it, doing 25 takes for his first shot in the film and then giving the performance of his lifetime. It also had A.R. Rahman setting his studio on fire to give probably one of the sexiest Tamil film soundtracks ever, Santosh Sivan making each frame look like a painting, and of course Mani Ratnam constructing epic scene after epic scene, making it one of his top 3 films ever. Today the film feels even more powerful than it did back then, maybe because of the times that we live in and the films that are allowed to be made today, and maybe because of its explosive nature, multiple controversies piled on top of it, it failed at the box office that time. Swades. The story of the hero that we needed, but not the one that we deserve. Shah Rukh Khan as Mohan Bhargav inspired maybe thousands of real-life NRIs to return to their homeland to serve their country, but at that time, maybe our country wasn't ready to see its biggest star as a down-to-earth NASA engineer who comes back to his village in India to light up a bulb. We weren't ready to see the star that unites audiences in the real world by just spreading his arms to unite the children of the higher and lower caste in the real world. We weren't ready to see him give us a reality check of why India is not the greatest country in the world and how it can be. And we're still not ready for that scene in that train where he struggles to accept this cup of water from this kid who's selling it at 25 paise a cup. Maybe Swades was too innocent and too pure in its form and approach, and it also had poor marketing that didn't intrigue the audiences back then. But today we celebrate the film as a cult classic and call it one of Shah Rukh Khan's best performances ever. It's a film that should be made compulsory viewing in every school and every college, but I guess we're promoting some other kinds of films. Udaan. The early 2010s. This is a time when Anurag Kashyap was in full rage mode, both in terms of directing his own merciless masterpieces like Gangs of Wasipur and also doing everything in his own power to make someone else's directorial dream come true. One such dream was Vikramaditya Motwani's Udaan, a simple story of a young boy in a small town wanting to follow his passion and failing to get approval from his dad and his society. And even the film failed to get approval from producers for 7 years because it had no star value, until Anurag Kashyap decided to produce it himself. Till date, Udaan is one of Amit Trivedi's most soul-crushing soundtracks with equally moving lyrics by Amitabh Bhattacharya. Anurag Kashyap himself wrote one song called Motu Master. If you're someone who's graduating school or college and you have this dream that you want to follow, or you're completely uncertain about what to do in life and about the future that lies ahead, this character and this film will become your friend, your confidant, your cheerleader, and your spirit animal. Guru. There was a filmmaker who said something like, when there are restrictions, then the greatest stories are born. In a country like Iran, post the Islamic Revolution in the late 70s, there were several restrictions imposed on the society and especially on the cinema that came out of the country. For example, there is a rule against male-female relationship being portrayed on screen. Actors playing a married couple have to be married in real life also, if there has to be any physical touch between the male and female characters. Because of so many restrictions like this, Iranian filmmakers thought of a new idea. They started making movies about children, and through their story, they use metaphors to talk about their society and the larger issues that plague their country. Rajiv Anchal's Guru, starring Mohanlal, is one such superb example of how to talk about a large issue that's troubling our country through metaphors under the guise of a fantasy film. It's not a perfect film for sure, and maybe that time the audience wasn't fully able to understand all the metaphors and appreciate the metaphors for many reasons. But even today, it's an extremely relevant film and you'll understand what I'm talking about when you watch it. I'm going to leave a YouTube link in the description. You can watch it for free with subtitles. No smoking. Even if this film releases in 2050, I don't think it's going to be a hit at all. So I don't know whether this film deserves to be a hit or anything, but for a few thousand people like me, Anurag Kashyap's ballsiest attempt since Black Friday is close to our heart for its sheer audacity to even get made in the first place. This movie is also available for free on YouTube with the title Super Hit Hindi Full Romantic Movie, and trust me, it's not a super hit. It's definitely not a romantic movie. And instead of telling you what it's going to be about, I'll give you a suggestion on how to watch it. Just get one friend or two friends max, put away your phones on airplane mode or just switch them off, and commit yourself for just 2 hours without stopping even for a minute. Post the movie, go to a restaurant or go to a bar, and make each friend give their interpretation of what the movie is about and what each of the elements of the story meant. The best part is, no interpretation is going to be 100% true. No one knows what the movie is going to be about. So whoever you think gave the best interpretation, he or she eats and drinks for free and the others have to pay the bill. Aaranya Kaandam. We've seen hundreds of gangster films over the years, but I still remember how fresh Tyagarajan Kumar Raja's debut was. Right from the black and yellow comic style poster, the characters and their pop culture heavy dialogues, the retro aesthetic, the screenplay, the stylistic choices, one of Yuvan Shankar Raja's best background scores ever, the use of the Ramayana to tie it all up, and one of the best goddamn climaxes in Tamil cinema. The film had no stars, no songs, literally no marketing campaign. There was a heavy dosage of expletives and a lot of other factors which kept the audiences away. Most people didn't even know such a film released, but I was one of the lucky few to watch this film on the big screen and witness the arrival of a new cinematic voice and a new cinematic universe. If I was to suggest one modern Tamil film to any non-Tamilian to understand how cool our films can be, it'll definitely be Aaranya Kaandam. Unfortunately, the print that's there on Hotstar really sucks and they've edited most of the words out. So this video is also an appeal to the producers of the film. Please release the uncut version on YouTube or any OTT platform that's ballsy enough to accept it. Or even I have an uncensored print lying around somewhere. Hopefully I can share it sometime soon. Oye Lucky Lucky Oye. Dibakar Banerjee is easily one of Hindi cinema's most original, most fearless voices, and every film that he makes, it's so unique in its form and its subject matter. And his second film, Oye Lucky Lucky Oye, starring Abhay Deol, who himself was a different genre in the late 2000s, was a chilled out, unapologetic biopic of Devinder Singh or Bunty, a real life super thief from Delhi. Abhay's character Lucky has apparently stolen 140 televisions, 212 VCRs, 475 shirts, 90 music systems, 50 jewelry boxes, 2 dogs, and a greeting card. And no matter how many times you watch him do the same thing over and over again, with the same impish smile on his face, it's a film that never gets boring or outdated. Oye Lucky did win the National Award for Best Popular Film that year, and it did average business at the box office, but its success was hugely affected because it released just 2 days after the 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai. Kaalapani. When I hear the name Priyadarshan, I immediately think of 2000s Hindi comedies like Hera Fairy, Halchal, Hangama and Garam Masala, which were all remakes of his epic Malayalam films. But to imagine that this man made one of the most haunting, deeply affecting Indian films about the most infamous Indian prison during British rule, it shows the sheer range and the versatility of this filmmaker. I watched Kaalapani just once as a child and I've never had the guts to go back to the film, But even after decades, there are still certain moments that just shake me up like a nightmare, especially that beach sequence. Being the costliest Malayalam film made during that time, plus the disturbing nature of the film made it struggle financially, but it went on to win 4 national awards and earn a place on the shelf of Malayalam cinema's most memorable classics. Luck by chance. If there's one thing we know about the film industry, it's this. It's a struggle to enter it. Millions of young people from small towns with big dreams in their eyes land up in Mumbai and spend years trying to get the right contacts, get every drop of energy sucked out of them as they travel in trains between different auditions, without much money to pay for even 2 meals a day, let alone their rent in a big city like Mumbai, for a pigeonhole of a house that they have to share with maybe 10-20 other people. They do this for years until they realize, I guess this isn't happening. Some go back to their hometowns and some still live in delusion. It's a world of blood, sweat, tears, hunger, anxiety, jealousy, and the most surprising thing is someone with the tag of nepotism on their head to create one of the most genuine films about the shiny, hollow world of the film industry. Zoya Akhtar hasn't made a single bad film in her career, but still, I believe that her most finest, most rewatchable film is her first labor of love, which the world failed to recognize back then. Finally, Rocket Singh, Salesman of the Year. Recently, while watching The Romantics on Netflix, which was a docu-series about Yash Chopra, Aditya Chopra and the legacy of Yash Raj films, it reveals that on one side, while YRF is responsible for creating some of the biggest Hindi blockbusters, there was a time in the mid-2000s, post the multiplex boom, where they invested in much more smaller, much more intimate films. One of those investments was Rocket Singh, Salesman of the Year, which wasn't a profitable investment per se, but it went down as a simple, heartfelt story from a world of people we see all the time but know nothing about their lives. Salesman. Ranbir Kapoor as a Sardaji, playing a rookie underdog salesman right in his second film, goes down as one of the bravest decisions of a star kid. But beyond him, every single character wins your heart in this sweet, focused film, reminding you of Rishikesh Mukherjee and Basu Chatterjee movies from the 70s and 80s about regular, middle-class, office-going men and women trying to make their place in a big city like Bombay. If we as an audience don't support such good films, obviously Hindi cinema is going to make project after project which are safe investments. And those were some of my favorite Indian box office failures that became cult classics. I know there are many more films that we can talk about. Maybe we'll do a part 2 or part 3 of these. Share your favorites in the comments. But for now, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.